Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Stitching Tales. I am Johanna Lundström.
And I am Malena Hjerpe.
And today's episode is the first one after a bit of a summer break, right, Malena? I think the last episode we recorded was in mid-June, and now it's in late August. So even though it's been summer, we do have a few things to share with you. So I thought it would be interesting to do a little bit of a catch-up, what we've been working on, plans for fall, and, well, some other things that might have been going on in our life. I should also say that I am a little bit disorganized today because I just came home from a wonderful trip in Albania, and it was warm and sunny, and now I'm back in Sweden and it's just rainy and windy, and I feel very disoriented, but I will try to keep my head in a reasonably sharp place, at least during this recording. And Malena, so what has your summer been like?
It's been really good. It's been, I've had, I always want to say, like, you want to have a longer summer holiday, but then I feel guilty because in US, don't they have like 2 weeks? Is that true? Or is it just something you see on TV? Like, listeners, please let me know. Yeah. Because then I feel really guilty, like, I've had 5 weeks holiday and I was like, it's not enough, I want more. So I'm like, yeah, sorry for those with 2 weeks, really apologize. But it's one of those things, you can't have enough of holiday, right? It's been really, and the summer is also so short here up in northern Sweden, so you really want to take advantage of it. Like, whenever it's sunny and nice weather, it's like, I know I have zero work morale. I don't want to work at all. So it's been a good summer, and it's been really, when you're able to really relax and not think about work, like freelance work. I've been thinking a lot about my own projects and things like that. But yeah, when you're, again, as you said, disoriented, when you're back against, like, what do I do? What is my password? How is the files organized again? Where do I find anything? It's like, okay, I shut off the work brain for a while. But it's good to be back also to routines, to daycare, being able to, drink coffee while you sit at your computer. So I love routines. So it's super nice to be back at work.
Yeah. A lot of people, feel like the fall is actually the beginning of a year, I think. You say the new year is the beginning, but I think in some ways the fall is that. Also, if, with the school start, there's a new semester, and there's a lot of things like a reset and a restart. And I think that's really interesting, because what you say, because we do love our holidays, and we are very blessed in Sweden to have usually at least 5 weeks a year, minimum for most people that are employed. But as you say, they can also go by really, really fast. But it's also nice because sometimes when you have long stretches of when you don't go to work, it's also you can sort of get lost without the routine. So I think a lot of us actually yearn a certain amount of structure as well. Even though it's very nice to not have too much plan, it can also, change, your mood a little bit, and you sometimes say, oh, it's going to be all right now. I'm not going to go up from bed in time. I'm going to get stuff done. I have this structure to rely upon. So I think in a lot of ways, the fall is very much like a beginning, a fresh start in many ways. And also because, as you say, we have usually, when we have more spare time, we have more time to think and reflect about things. And that means that when fall is starting, we feel like, okay, now I have some ideas on what I want to do next, because we have this like space to think about things.
Yeah, exactly. You get like inspired in a different way because you have been able to not think about it. And then when you come back again, you have like new perspective, maybe like new ideas, new things that you want to take care of. So yeah, it's definitely fair. I always feel like this is more of a startup compared to New Year's. But how has your summer been?
Yeah, it's been a little bit different because I actually worked at my day job for most of the summer. I had first 2 weeks off, and then I spent those 2 weeks filming the GS course, which is long-time listeners know that I have been, being quite down on or overwhelmed about the the project and the fact that it's going to take so much time and so much effort, but I'm happy to report that I've actually filmed pretty much everything right now.
Woohoo!
And I managed to do that, yes, during that 2-week stretch. So I just went straight from my day job into filming the jeans course, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about in a bit. And then I went back to my day job. And then now I had a little bit over a week off when I went to Albania. So I have not really had a long stretch of vacation this summer. So, but what I'm very excited about is the fact that I'm going to have a leave for a 6-month break from my day job starting in October, which I'm going to focus entirely on the last stitch again. So that is like what I'm counting the days now, because
you can
again,
see the finish line.
I can see the finish line. Of course, that is going to be another finish line, but I feel I just need to navigate that stretch until that point, because then I have, as if you listen to this podcast for a while, you know that I've been lamenting about the fact that I always feel, very torn in many different places, and I have tendency to feel overwhelmed, stressed, and now I'm actually in a good financial situation where I'm able to actually take a little break and not have that salary and still be able to sustain myself. So we have a few things in cooking that we're also going to tease a little bit about in this episode, which we're going to do some joint things as well. But yeah, so overall, it's been a different summer for me in that sense, but it's also been a very good summer because I haven't had a lot of structure, and I enjoy structure. I'm a person who thrives within structure. So for me, having 4 weeks of absolutely nothing planned, that's a big cause of stress of mine. So I need to have a bit mix of routines and leisure time.
That sounds good. But so how was it filming the jeans course then? Was it as daunting as you anticipated, or was it actually more manageable?
It was actually more manageable, and I know you said it would be, but I have so many memories of, especially when I've been working on my books, and like late night shooting way into like 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning, and my back hurts, and because I've been always under a lot of like time pressure, especially because a lot of the books has been written when I've been doing my day job as well. So it's been like, okay, I'm gonna dedicate the entire Saturday and I have to do these 8 things, and that meant that I was very, very overwhelmed. But this time I was very much, I decided to scale back my ambition level, and I just broke task into one step every day. And of course, I went behind schedule. Even on the first day, I was already behind. But I managed to figure out a way of, reducing a few of the things that I thought I needed to film. So actually what I did during the 2 weeks filming was that I made just one pair of jeans. And if you're watching the video version, I'm going to hold it up right now. So these are the finished pair that I sew. And when the course is done, what I will teach you there is to sew a pair of jeans from start to finish, including everything from how to prepare and cut the fabric, how to do the seams, everything from, how to sew a perfect professional jean zipper, which I know a lot of people can find overwhelming, how to get the waistband look really neat and nice, and again, also the top stitching, tricks to do that. So if you have my book, Sewing Jeans, the course is going to be a wonderful companion, I think, because then I will be able to show in movement also a lot of the steps, and also because I did the book about 4 years ago, I've actually developed a few more techniques that I will also share in the video course. So that's my aim, and I will, once I get on the leave from my day job, I will start editing it. So hopefully it's going to be out in November, I think, of this year, 2024.
Exciting.
Yeah.
And I can only you say it's a jeans course, but I mean, just for a regular pair of trousers as well. I mean, those finishings will be it will be so nice, even though it's not a jeans material. So yeah. Trousers course with because all the details are so nice. It's really looking lovely on the video that the pair you just showed us really looks nice.
You're very right, because a lot of the things is very similar. How to attach the waistband, how to sew a zipper. It's actually quite similar if you buy a pair of trousers made professionally. The method is quite similar, and also, of course, adding belt loops and attaching them. And yeah, I totally agree with you. It's a lot of overlap in techniques, and I have so many ideas. I'm going to use a lot of visuals. It's going to be a lot of graphics. I'm also going to do some animations. So I think I will really, really stretch myself. I have so many like ideas on how to do this. So it's not just going to be a filmed course. It's going to be so much more. And I have a big ambitions, and I'm definitely going to make sure that I make this course really, really easy to follow and clear. So I feel very, very excited about that, because I have so many like. When I filmed this, I got so many ideas on how I could like present it with graphics and visuals and everything like that, and how to explain everything. So yeah, I'm very, very excited to talk more about that in the future. So that was my big summer project. So yeah, I've been definitely working on the last stitch as well. I haven't just had a break.
No, it's like vacation from a regular job means, well, time to spend on your own project then.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have done the same, right? Because you also worked on a project that we are actually hopefully going to be able to reveal in not too far future. But so you have been doing some stuff as well. It's a very secret project now, but
yeah. Yeah, we have some upcoming projects together, which I'm really looking forward to. But I had this summer. I had 1 week by myself. My husband took the kids to visit their grandma, so I was just completely alone in the house, and it was. I'm an introvert. I love my alone time. So being alone for 1 week, it was just like, oh my god, it's so nice. It's so nice not having any like time schedule, anything, and just do whatever I feel. So I mean, obviously, I did some work then. Because
that's how we roll.
Exactly. Finally got some time to do some focused alone project me time work. It's but it was really nice. I was able to do some patterns and sew some samples for it and prepare for our future project. And the reason why I did it now also is because my Lectra license, I have it. I rent the license, like the pattern making program that I use, which is like insanely expensive. So I have had it for like 3-year renewal to get like a still expensive but more decent price. So now that 3-year is ending in the middle of September, which means that me as a pattern maker, I don't have a license for my program anymore. It's like, how am I supposed to do work if I don't have a license? I feel like, amputated, like I have lost my most important tool as a pattern maker. So that's why, I want to rush out and prepare as much as possible, so I get like the files and everything done, and I can export them. So then I can open them up in Illustrator and do it like, proper, like, do a nice PDF pattern, so like continue with the patterns in that program. But doing all the fitting adjustments and like grading and everything is just like so much easier to actually do in Lectra. So that's why I want to prepare as much as possible now while I still got the license. So yeah, that's why it's a little bit rush to get things done now. The license expire, the end date is in mid September, so I still got a few weeks left. But I'm feeling like the pressure, all the things I want to do before that.
Yeah, sometimes it's very good to have a pressing deadline, because you managed to crank out some really amazing samples for our project. I was blown away how effective it was, and I was like, wow, this is clearly the work of a professional. That's why it's so wonderful to work with you, because you really do such an amazing job in a short time, which is also why I always love to work with highly skilled professionals, because it's magic to watch.
And that's also see what we can do when we have like focused work time and like, okay, This needs to get done. Just do it it goes so quickly then when you can focus on when you have actually time to do those things. So yeah, it was nice to do it. And the reason why I'm not going to renew the license, I mean, obviously I can do it later on as well in a half year or whatever. But now during the fall, I have quite a lot of freelance booked work, and then I work with the company's computer, and then I use their license and everything. So I don't need my own license for that kind of work. And then it would just be like, it's quite a lot of month, and financially, why would I have my own license during that time then when it's like it's so insanely expensive? So better than to pause it, and then I can continue on, I can renew it in half a year or something if I want. So let's see how it goes, but it feels a little bit, I had to actually buy the CLO license, a 3D program that is really great. I had to okay, I'm going to do that then, so I have some, pattern making program that I can work with. I can't be, completely without it. That would just feel, I would have such an identity crisis if I didn't have any pattern program.
It's like, who am I even?
Exactly, who am I?
Yeah, and also we should mention, right, if you don't know what the CLO program is, because I guess we could explain that a little bit, so for the listeners to understand.
Yeah, no, it's a 3D program, so you can basically use, you can draft pattern as well in it. It's not as good, you can't really make maybe production-friendly files that you send to production, but you can still you can make patterns in it, and you can sew it. You can choose different fabrics in the program and sew it and try it on an avatar, basically a fitting model. So it's so easy to get a first feel, how is it looking? Do I need to do any first adjustments before I actually print it out and make a physical sample? So it helps a lot during the development process, because I make my pattern in Electra, then I export it into CLO, I sew it up, make a first fitting of it. We looked at the pictures together as well, do we want to make any changes? I do the changes, and then I sew the sample after that. So you get really, you avoid those small mistakes, fitting issues, those kind of easy adjustments. You can so clearly see it in CLO, and it's so convenient to use. So I'm happy that I have that program at least to work with again.
That's really good. And we should also say that on our Instagram account, Stitching Tail Pods, you can upload an image, so you can see exactly what it does. And it's so fascinating because you can also pick different type of fabrics, and you can see how it drapes. And so it's a mind-blowing program that isn't that expensive either, right, compared to, say, Electra. So I was super impressed, and it does save some time when it comes to sewing samples and everything, because you can totally see if the proportions are off, and maybe it's not even a good idea to even sew a sample, right, because you can see it so clearly in Electra.
Yeah,
or in CLO. I mean, you have so many programs.
No, it's so convenient to get a first look of it, and you can do easy adjustments in the program as well, see directly how it falls, and as you said, you can try it out with different types of fabric and see how it is in a knitted, soft, draped rayon jersey, or a stiff twill cotton woven fabric. So, I mean, because obviously it really depends on the fabric, how it's going to fit. So it's really, I love the program. It's really good. But it's more focused on the visual, how the 3D is looking compared to all the function you have when you grade patterns and things like that. So in that sense, Electra is better when you do patterns for production. But still, this is it's you can do a lot still with it. And also, I guess that they are developing this as well. I mean, I had a course in it for 3-4 years now. So, I mean, obviously things could have happened in the grading, for example, since then as well. So I think I need to keep myself updated. So what is going on there. But yeah, I that's 1 week in the summer when I were able to just sew samples and try on, and it's been that was a great week.
Yeah. So it was so amazing. And I'm very excited. We're going to do a separate episode later on where we talk about this project once we have, figure out everything. But it's definitely going to happen, and I'm very, very excited about it. And I think you will really like the concept that we are working on. So yeah, it's very, very exciting. It's also so fun to work with you, Malena, again. We had such a blast doing our Fit for Knits book, and I know that this is also again going to be such a fun project, and also that's one of the challenges, when you're doing everything yourself, it can be overwhelming, and sometimes you don't know the best way forward. But when we work together, I feel like it's just not the double, it's more, because we kind of like pull each other, like lift to another level as well, because we can have brainstorm ideas, and you have a second eye. So I feel everything just gets so much more improved when you're working with someone that can really like bounce off ideas and everything. It just makes everything so much easier. I think that's a secret. If that's a business tip, I would say, find partners, even though you're not maybe starting a business together with someone. It's very, very helpful, I think, to have partners in different ways, because then you'll be able to lift each other up and feed off each other's specific skill set and everything like that, because obviously you can't do everything yourself. I think that's a trap we all fall into as business owners, that we think we have to do everything ourselves, but there are ways to help each other. And I think this is just one of many examples where I feel like I've been really, really blessed when I've been able to partner up with other people. It just helps so much.
Yeah, no, I can highly recommend that as well. If you are alone in your business, that have a network, have a group of 5, 10, 15 people or something that you meet up maybe on a regular basis, and on Teams or in reality, and it's like so valuable to be able to bounce ideas with different people. Like, is this a good idea? And everyone has their own different perspective, and it might actually be good if you don't even work exactly like within the same industry or something. It really, it's such a valuable input that people can have, that when you come with a little bit outside a perspective. And it's also as you said, working together with someone actually on a project is also so much easier when you are able to should we do this or that, and when you're in your own head, it's just that road can be just should I do this, or how to do it, where to go, what to do next. But when you have somebody else to bounce ideas of, it's just okay, no, let's do this, and it's just straightforward. It's so much easier and faster, I would say. So even if you're not doing a project with someone, find your people, find your community, and it's so valuable.
Yeah, totally. And also, speaking of projects, because I've actually been working on another project as well, because I think I've mentioned this before as well. I'm working on my next sewing pattern.
The trousers.
Yeah. Yes. So again, if you're watching the video version, I'm holding up just cut fabric for one of the samples that I will sew this weekend. This is going to be, I'm going to use the sample both for the photo tutorial that I'm going to publish on my blog, thelaststitch.com, and also, of course, it's going to be samples that I will photograph so that you can see the pattern. So I've been working that as well this summer, and I'm done with the instructions. I've pretty much almost done with the formatting of the PDF files. Projector files, not done yet, but I'm definitely going to make sure that happens before the release of the pattern. And so now I'm just going to sew, I think, 3 pair of different samples in different type of fabrics, so to use for a photo session. That's going to be the basis of the pattern, and hopefully I don't have a set date, but I think I will be able to release it in late September if not all goes to plan. So it's just a couple of weeks left now. It's for 4 weeks, but it's good to have a deadline. Again, I think I need to, because then after that I will start more working on our joint project and edit the video course for the jeans. So I want to make sure that I have done like release this pattern before that. So I'm very, very excited. And actually, speaking about interrupted time, I'm actually looking so much forward to actually just deep and get sewing again, because I have not been able to sew the jeans. I did, of course, but then it was so much filming involved, so I had to like sew for a little bit and then switch cameras and switch tables. But now that I'm gonna do just crank out samples, I can just do it like in a very uninterrupted sequence, and sew everything and just listen to music or podcast. And so I'm going to just bury myself into that work this weekend, and I'm really, really looking forward to that, because one of the things I really like about sewing is when you get into the groove, it's such a wonderful way to spend your time, and it's just relaxing, and it just, time flies, and there's no outside worries, there is no stress. It's and also the satisfaction, I think, that comes from doing as like a project from start to finish, and when you do the final stitching and you're like done, and I feel so excited every time. I'm like, wow, now it's finished. And so I'm really looking forward now to be able to sew this. Of course, this is going to be a bit more work, because I'm also taking photos, because if you're not familiar with my sewing patterns, I have in the sewing instructions I use illustrations. It's a very detailed step-by-step instructions with illustrations for every step. But then for all my sewing patterns, I also do a sew along on the blog where I take photos instead, and maybe show some bonus techniques that I don't show in the written instructions. So just to make sure that you have all ways of following, so that it's going to be easy. And this is a pair of pants that is made for stable knit fabric, so it's going to look quite dressy. So you can add pin tacks on it, and it's going to have darts. So just looking from it, quickly, it's going to look like a very dressy pants, even though you can, of course, use it as loungewear as well, but you can also wear it in the office. And so I'm going to use a few more slightly more advanced techniques in quotation marks here, so which I'm really excited about, because when I do sewing patterns, I do like to show a little bit. I don't do like beginner sewing patterns, but I try to just take it to the next level. So hopefully when you get my sewing patterns, you will also learn a few new techniques. So they're a tiny, slightly bit more advanced when sewing with it. So that's why I'm really excited to share this. And it's also love the research phase when you try different techniques and try to figure out like what is the best way of showing this for someone who's going to sew this pattern. So that's been a lot of like figuring out as well. But so I'm definitely on the finishing line for that, which I've been working off and on with this pattern with your help, Malena, for I think the good part of this year. So like with everything else, it takes time. But now, it's going to happen. Feels great.
Nice. Here you can really see the finish line there coming up soon. And I think September is like the perfect launch days. As you say, like it's back to school, it's back to work, it's after the summer, it's the perfect trousers as well for fall. So that's really good timing on it.
Yeah,
really looking forward to it. And I haven't seen so many like as you said knitted trouser like with a little bit more elevated techniques like joggers. Well, I have a jogger pattern for a pair of joggers, and there are lots of joggers patterns out there. But a little bit more elevated knitted trousers, you don't see them that often. So I think it definitely will fill a gap in the market there.
Yeah, I hope so too. And there are also a lot of different, like really nice, more stable knit fabrics. For instance, Ponte di Roma, French terry. You could use it maybe with the boiled wool knit. So one of the samples is, I think I will use a slightly boiled wool knit. So, and with that particular fabric, I don't think you can even see that it's made with knit fabrics, but it will have the comfort and the stretch, and it's also going to have elastic waistband, because that's one of the things, the nice things about having knit pants. It's, you want it to adapt depending on how you feel that day, or so. That's why I am very, very like adamant about using elastic in the waist, but I'm going to use it in a way that it looks quite dressy anyway. So yeah, and it's pockets, of course, always pockets.
Obviously.
And pants.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I'm very excited to share that more when I'm about to release it, which is then of course going to be in late September if all goes to plan. So I think those are the big things I've been working on this summer, and then of course mostly dreaming about all the things I want to do now in October when I don't have to do my day job as well. But I will share more about that too. But again, I feel like I have lots and lots of rooms for improvement. I think also one of the things I struggle a little bit now, which I would love to hear everyone's input if you're listening as well, is the fact that, I do a lot of video content. I've done, I have a lot of videos, over 200 sewing videos on YouTube. And due to time constraints and everything else, I've not really been able to put too much effort into vertical format. And I feel like now everyone is just using their mobile phone, and I feel like it just changes everything. Everything, from how you do blog content. I mean, before when people saw it on a computer, you used a lot of like horizontal picture, landscape pictures, and now everything is like square or vertical. So I feel like if I start to think about too much of that right now, I feel a bit overwhelmed. But I have this sense that I need to make like a big content shift to mobile first, moving forward. So that's going to be like a strategic move that I need to put a lot of thinking. So I'm really curious to hear. You can comment either on our YouTube channel, Stitching Tales Pod, or on our Instagram account on how you consume sewing tutorials these days. And because I feel it's a little bit limiting when you're using the vertical format. I think some things are much easier to show on a vertical format. But maybe that's just because I'm unused to that format, because I feel like the reels and everything, they are quite short and not always very instructive. It's more like half entertainment and half tutorial. So that's something I need to take a big consideration moving forward, because you have to adapt with the times, just like we talked about projectifiers. I mean, I can't sit here and say, oh, I like to do horizontal movies because that's what I like, if nobody's consuming that anymore. So what's your thoughts about that, Malena, when it comes to like mobile? Yeah.
A big sigh. Oh, I haven't even thought about that. No, I do have. I looked a little bit about, since I made a website for my company really recently. I mean, now it's like a half a year ago. But it's fun to look at the statistics. And as you say, yeah, how many people are watching it on or reading it on the computer and on the mobile. And I mean, majority was on the mobile. Now I'm not that active on with my blog at the moment. But yeah, I mean, it is a good thing to consider, because, I mean, obviously anything I do it on my computer, so I make sure it looks great there. I mean, I'm happy as long as I get something out there. But yeah, taking consideration a mobile, yeah, no, yeah, I haven't thought about it so much.
We're going to table that, right? It's too painful to talk about, but
Yeah.
I just need to throw it out there. So I'm very curious to hear you listening to this episode, what your thoughts about that, and of course perhaps also have some understanding for the struggles, because when we started, most people were using a computer or maybe a tablet or an iPad, so at least they were consuming, or even a laptop. Obviously, they were at least consuming the content in a horizontal format. But I feel like even now, if I would do something horizontal on a mobile, can people even bother flipping the phone if I was doing a video? So that's my like thinking now, that vertical is gonna dominate everything. And I feel, as just like you, a bit overwhelmed about it. But since content is my bread and butter in my case, I can't ignore this somewhat painful fact that everything I've done in the last decade is maybe
yeah,
getting
let's not go down that road. Yeah, maybe like something in between, like you do a proper like square instead, like equal 1 by 1 square. So it it's kind of ish working both ways. But yeah, I mean, when you're watching a YouTube video, like a proper video, I do that when I like work out, for example, at home. I mean, I always flip my phone, but I don't know how. What's yeah, as you said, like reels on the TikTok, Facebook, no, Instagram. Then you obviously have it vertical, but yeah, when I watch videos, then I flip the horizontal. But I mean, what I do is one thing. What people who are actually a little bit more far ahead in the technology, that might be another thing. So yeah, would be really interesting to hear what the listeners are, what your perspective are on this. It was not a thing that I want to think about. No.
No, and I can feel, we can both, feel the anxiety levels rising as we speak about this. Like, please, no. It's like, when is it enough, right? I read, which year are you born, Malena?
85.
85. So are you a Gen
Millennial.
Z then? You're a millennial, right? So you are more, you should be more technical savvy than I am, then, because I was born in 72 and I am Generation X. But I read, this like general statement about the different generations. The fact that the thing about Generation X, though, is because we grew up very much without technology. We are actually quite adaptable because we had to go from zero to, everything that we have to do today. I mean, we had no mobile phones or anything. I know that you didn't have either when you were a kid, but for us, we were grown-ups when this revolution happened. So actually, I thought that was interesting that, actually my generation, which is older, is actually very adaptable. But Generation Z is I don't remember do you know the traits of Generation Z? Because I read it yesterday and I thought, interesting, because there are some differences, I think, between you and I in that sense, and not necessarily that you are more technically forward. That's just because you're a younger generation doesn't mean that you are more into social media or technology or everything like that. And even more interesting is the fact that I have two grown-up children. One is 22 and one is 25. So they are obviously the Generation Y, Z, X, Y, right, X, Y. I can't remember the alphabet right at the top of my mind, but the letter that comes after.
I think they are Generation Z then.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
since
yes,
they
right.
are
So your generation, yes. So I am Generation X, you're Generation Y, but usually
millennial.
you say millennial, of course. And actually, we are either called the lost generation or in Sweden, the ironic generation, because because we are brought up with being ironic about everything. And then, of course, the next generation then that my children are, they are very like technically, how shall I say, skeptical. They complain that the younger kids, the ones that aren't grown-ups, are using their mobile phones too much, and they're worried about because they're watching TikTok all day long. And none of my children are active on social media at all, which is interesting, that their mother is the one that is cranking out content on all the channels, and they can't be bothered to update even a photo. Of course they do Snapchat and everything to keep in touch with their friends, but they don't really do anything public with it.
Ah, interesting. But I wonder if that is a little bit with... you always want to rebel against the older generation, against your parent. You always want to do the opposite, regardless of what they actually did. So I wonder if it's like that kind of a flip, away from what we did, what our generations did. But also with technology and anything, like I'm such a late bloomer when it comes to anything like that, to update, to upgrade, it's like, no. I just want to stick to the things I know, and I want to perfect within my comfort zone. So it's also a very, like, that's my, like, the way I work. I can't speak for all my generation. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's keeping up with everything. It's like, yeah, no. I can't even keep up with the fashion for myself, and I work within the fashion industry, so
Yeah. I think a lot of people can relate to how you feel, Malena. I don't think you're alone in that at all. I think so many are feeling overwhelmed by the speed of changes with everything. I mean, even when they update an app, it's like, oh no, I have to relearn. Or if you're updating a software at work, and they're like, oh, not again. I mean, where do I find the functions and everything? It's so overwhelming. And it just keeps, I feel the tempo is just getting quicker and quicker and quicker. And some of the apps that we are talking about today will of course be gone in 10 years, and then we have something else completely different that we can't even imagine. So yeah,
that's a little bit fun thing with the pattern making program Lecture Modaris. I mean, it actually looks like it is from the 90s. Like the visual, how just like with the colors and everything, it looks so old fashioned. I'm gonna share a picture of it from on our Instagram. But in a sense, that's also like, I know where everything are. I like you know anything because it hasn't changed. Like, of course, a lot of updated functions has happened, but it's still like the visual look, appearance, like it's more or less the same from when I started 15 years ago. Like nothing visually has changed, which is like boring in one sense, but it's like so comfortable in another sense, because it's it's a tool that you work with. You don't want to keep on searching where are that button, where is the function, like how do I find it, like now they changed the short command or something. Like no, you like that's muscle memory for you. You just want to keep that the same. So but yeah, it yeah, have a look at it on Instagram. It's you can see it's definitely, it looks very old fashioned.
Yeah, because I can't help thinking now, if someone, being in their 20s, of course we know how the programs looked in the 90s because that's when we grew up. But imagine, a fashion student, a pattern making student, getting acquainted with this program in like 2024. It's like, what is this?
Yeah, that's when Chloe is like, okay, yeah, miles ahead, like with the visual and how yeah, everything, like what do you say, like soft layout, like how it just looks on the screen is just like a completely different ballpark. It's so it's nice to be able to have both worlds.
Yeah, I agree. Not too many changes for my liking as well. Actually, I think also with Instagram, they changed so many functions of the app, and sometimes I don't even know how to use some of it, even though I try to keep up with all the stuff. Yeah, we're actually going to need to cut this a little bit short now because I have a few things I have to do as well here. But I so much enjoyed talking to you again, Malena. It was so nice to see you. We haven't spoken all summer, so that feels really, really good. And it was so nice to do a catch-up. And of course, now we're back to our regular scheduling. We're publishing the podcast on Monday evening on YouTube and on Tuesday morning on your favorite podcast app. So thank you so much for listening. I am Johanna Lundström.
And I am Malena Hjerpe. Bye bye.
Bye bye.